Welcome to Happy Homes and Gardens. I'm your host. My name is Daphne Royce. I am a real estate broker, architecture, and interior designer. Medical data indicates that average male lifespan is shortened by 5 years because men fail to seek treatment or visit a doctor. Sometimes the patient will not seek medical attention because they are embarrassed by their symptoms. Dapper Care may be a solution. Let's welcome David Pachkofsky, who is the founder and CEO of Dapper Care. He will share how Dapper Care works. Hello, David.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Busy. So thanks for having me, though. I appreciate it.
Please tell us who you are and what is Dapper Care.
Sure. Dapper Care is a primary care platform. We're a telehealth company. We are licensed in all 50 states, and we focus on addressing sensitive health issues. Our specialty is men's health. We have a female's website that is called Chloe, and then the men's is Dapper. And we also have a standalone online pharmacy called Dapper Pharmacy, which I'll talk about later, but that's primarily focused on patient referrals from doctors. And then soon we will be rolling out in-home care as well. So we kind of cover it all. Our whole focus is on basically providing high quality, affordable healthcare that's accessible and convenient to everybody without the need for insurance. Our typical cost for our treatments are less than the typical copayment. Our healthcare services are free technically, because we have AI and machine learning built into our platform. So that facilitates the online consultation, diagnosis, and the medications prescribed to you. Our medications, because we specialize in personalized, generic, compounded medications that are catered to each individual's needs, which is kind of one of our differentiators out there. Meaning, if you were to be based off of the answers to the questions in the consultation, your treatment can be customized specifically for your needs. Not only the milligrams, what the medication is, the active ingredients, but we also compound medication. So combining multiple different medications into one. And we can also do customized delivery methods. So if you don't like swallowing pills, for instance, we have dissolvable troches. They go under your tongue that are sublingual. You can dissolvable strips like a Listerine strip, sprays, nasal sprays. And so based off of each individual's needs, we provide it. We're able to do this because we don't accept insurance, and insurance companies are the ones that are putting a lot of the limitations on things, and big pharma. Because we don't have to deal with either one of those, we're able to do these things. We can also ship your medication free of charge to your home within 48 hours. You can order it on a monthly basis, or you can get it every 3 months, 6 months, or a year's worth all at once, because you're not dealing with insurance. And our medications are up to 95% off too. Yeah, so a little bit about myself. So I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I have been in the health and wellness space for 23 years. So my background is I'm a software engineer by trade. I grew up in Minnesota. After finishing at school, I beelined it for the West Coast. I was in Newport Beach down in Southern California for 12 years. I started my first company when I was 14. And I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, both my parents, my brother, my grandparents, all my grandparents. Yeah, my mom had a specialty advertising company for 37 years. My father was in, land development and finance. But my dad wanted to teach me how to basically earn a buck, rather than going down and getting a job at the Dairy Queen or the grocery store. So I started a company it was a lawn care company. That's pretty much, you're limited at that age. But it's a good story because I actually learned to grow that company and hire people to work for me. And I actually ended up exiting that company and sold it my senior year of college. And the company still exists today. So
Wow.
yeah, so I wish I didn't get out of it, but but that was my first success. Yeah, I mean, I grew it from just, myself to actually having, several, probably 15 employees and 20 employees, and decided to shift gears, and I got a computer science degree. I have always had a passion for healthcare. Um, I was pre-med originally, but I changed, my majors along the way, like most people do. And then when I got to California, the economy, because of the dot-com bubble burst, and it kind of decided for me. I couldn't get a job for the life of me as a software developer because the market was just flooded with, talent, because everybody was out of a job, and I was a rookie. So, I was burning through all my money, and my parents said, "You better get a job because, you're coming home." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to go work for anybody. I don't want to work for anybody. I'm going to start my own company." So every day, I just, tried to figure it out. And I got connected with another guy from the Midwest, and we started a digital online marketing company. And it was actually an email marketing company. This is the Wild Wild West back then, but we were actually sending 100 million emails every day through our servers, which is pretty phenomenal, compared to what's going on these days, and we were probably in like the top 5 mailers in the entire world, and to the point where when the Can Spam Act was enacted, which was prior to that, you could do whatever you wanted from a spamming standpoint. And they have that little permissioning thing at the bottom of every email that you can opt out of. That's the Can Spam Act that put that in place. And before that, there wasn't that. We actually helped create that. And we actually made the front page of the Wall Street Journal, and they actually, had us, you know, give our input. And so at one point we were actually sending more mail than Hotmail was. It evolved, and we ended up kind of landing in the health and wellness space, that niche, and that's what we were marketing, those kind of products, mostly nutraceuticals or herbal supplements, male enhancement products, I should say. But I never really believed in what we were selling. That was the problem. My claim to fame is that I've sold nearly $1 billion in these products over the last 20 years. I still have the company that, I started all the way back in 2003. It's changed names a couple times, but it's called Brand Aid now. And in Dapper Care, the company that, we're here to talk about, actually was my 16th successful startup that I've launched over the last 23 years. They all have spawned off of my marketing company. So I perfected how to convert the users, or that consumer segment, millennials through baby boomers. I've created businesses that fall into that niche. And so because I was selling nutraceuticals all along and I just never believed in it, I felt like a snake oil salesman because it's so unregulated. There's a lot of bad actors in there in the business, and people are just selling crap. Perfect example is if you walk into like a GNC or a health food, a vitamin store, all of the products that are there, most of them are in this big fancy packaging. It's similar to like if you go and buy perfume or cologne, right? but at least that smells good. Like, you spend a fortune on it, and I know what it costs. I mean, the average bottle of, supplement product that you're actually taking costs less than the packaging does to make. So like on a bottle that you would buy for like $70, it costs us 80 cents, or a couple bucks max. It's in there. And I mean, and then the packaging, and depending on if you're selling it in retail stores or online, depends on how fancy the packaging needs to be. But and you see all of these fake testimonials and these before and after pictures with the diet products and claiming false claims. And I just was kind of burned out. And after my last company that was selling the nutraceuticals we shut it down in 2020. And we actually launched it during COVID, and it was a big success. We focused on products that were, focused on, like immunity boosters, or things like home fitness products, just anything that people could use during the pandemic. And when we launched it, we did $20,000 the first month, and we were like, wow, this is going a little bit slow in about the first 20 days. But the next month we did 800,000 and our revenue doubled every month, and we were actually on track to do 30 million in our first year. It's crazy. We ended up shutting the business down, which is, it happens. But and it was only, and I raised $3 million just because we were having growing pains. We weren't able to scale fast enough. We needed to cover inventory, and our merchant accounts couldn't handle the volume, and that's why we ended up having to get shut down. So Chase didn't like us very much, and we ran $1.8 million over a weekend, and that was too much for them, so they froze the funds. And it took us over a year to get those funds back. So that's why we raised. But I was on another podcast, which was called Epic Failures, and and that's what my whole story was, talking about this. So but I always say you don't judge your success based off of your accomplishments. You judge it off of your failures, because I mean, any good entrepreneur takes a failure, and you learn from it. You figure out what you did wrong, and hopefully you don't do it again. Although sometimes I'm a glutton for punishment, I think. But and so I decided to, we shut the business down. We were in kind of a holding pattern, trying to figure out what we were going to do next. And I had idle time, which is something I don't deal with very well. Like, I just need to be doing 10 things. I was playing the market. That's when the market was really hot. So I was day trading, and, but then that didn't last very long. But during that time, I started putting Dapper together, this concept. And I said, you know what, this is going to be the ultimate company for me, my legacy, and it's going to basically be do everything right that I think I've ever done wrong with my other companies. It's going to fix it. Like we're still going to be selling or offering treatments, for men's and women's health, primary care, skincare, hair loss, mental health, these kind of things. But the only difference is now all of our treatments are FDA approved. They're backed by science. We're licensed in all 50 states. We don't even use, nurse practitioners or, physician assistants. We've got doctors writing prescriptions. So in the past, it was all herbal supplements, and, whatever you wanted to put on the label was basically what people thought you were selling. And even though our products were good, and but Dapper is we're offering our treatments, our prices. We're able to, because like I said, up to 95% off, which is, for instance, so our biggest focus is on men's sexual health, like I said, and erectile dysfunction. It affects 70 million men in this country. Pretty much depending on who you talk to. And I mean, they say like 70% of men over the age of 40 are going to be affected by this at some point. But a lot of experts I talk to say it's 100%, because the numbers are just, skewed because guys don't like to admit they have an issue. So, um, but yeah, so I mean, it's a major issue, and when Viagra was invented, it obviously it fixed this problem, and Pfizer has sold a lot of it. It's actually the number one sold medication ever in history. And it goes for between $70 and $90 a pill. And men will buy that before they buy food for themselves. And so, and it's crazy to me. And insurance doesn't cover it always. I mean, it's expensive. I mean, the average consumer to spend, $500 to $1,000 a month or something like that for just so they can have a sex life.
Wow, that's shocking. And
Yeah.
you are the true entrepreneur, started at age 14. Impressive.
Yes.
Can you tell us, how did you choose the name Dapper Care?
Dapper Care. Like most of the things that I come up with, I don't put a lot of thought, I should say, into these things. I mean, because most of my brands, and I sold over 400 different products, even just in 2020 we did. So most of them were, I call them throwaway brands, but they were a product. We would push a product to market like every couple days, with my drop shipping business. And so when we wouldn't know until we pushed it to market, if it was converting properly with our marketing, and if it didn't, we would throw it away and we would just move on to another one. If it actually worked, we would know in the first few hours, then we would scale it up, millions of dollars. Yeah, so I just never put a lot of thought into these things. But Dapper, people have always called me Dapper. So I mean, I did a bit of modeling when I was younger in college, and actually my mom was a model, for Eleanor Moore Modeling Agency, and back in Minneapolis where I grew up, and she did runway and everything, and so she actually, when I was a little rugrat, she brought me into the agency and introduced me to the owner, and they got me doing print ads. So I did Target, Sears, and Tonka Toys, which isn't around really anymore, but that's how I came up with it. It's just Dapper kind of stuck, and it was Dapper Medical originally, but I thought that was too, sterile of a name for this business. And so Dapper Care. And it's funny, in these businesses, like, you're kind of taught as an entrepreneur, when you're trying to figure out a domain, you're not supposed to spend a lot of money on it, because you don't know if the business will actually work, for in the initial stage. That's the biggest challenge, is finding it. You pick a name, but you got to literally sit there and search and see if the domain's available. Otherwise, you can't do it. So we actually, when I first launched, it was called, so we're set up very similar to like Roman or Hims. Those are the big competitors in the space. Hims and Hers, that the men and women's site. We have Dapper and Chloe. And I just happen to I like the name Chloe, and I had getchloe.com. And so I like the name Dapper, but I mean, no big reason really. That's it. So
that's an easy name to pronounce too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important. So most of my companies, like I said, the brands, I don't I don't believe in, I don't, you shouldn't spend a lot of money in the initial stages of your company on branding. That's how you kill a business, because you can't compete with the big guys out there, trying to create brand recognition and stuff. Yes, people have gotten a little bit better with it, influencers and some of this organic, type of marketing tactics, grassroots marketing that's come up in the last few years. But so I never put a lot of thought into it. But this one, I want to, I've got big plans for this company, getting a lot of traction right now. So I think Dapper is a good name, as far as like, it's recognizable and people remember it and stuff. So.
Yeah, so why do some people not like to visit the doctors? And is it cost or another reason?
I know my own personal experience. I mean, doctors are, they're great. I've got lots of them on my team, but it's not them. It's actually they're very busy, just like any entrepreneur, right? And it's, the average, for instance, urologist has between like 1,500 and 2,000 monthly patients. Not that they're seen on a regular basis, but that are getting medications or treatments from them, you know. And then you look if they have a private practice or something, what they've got a secretary, a couple of physician assistants. They just don't, it's not really a streamlined process. It's, to be able to handle high volume and stuff. And so you've got long waiting times. And that's why you see all these crazy statistics. The average person in this country waits 27 days to see a doctor. That's crazy. Another short little story on why I started Dapper that kind of pushed me. I've always wanted to do something like this as soon as some of the changing regulations in telehealth emerged. I have a friend that was an advisor and consultant, and he was working with someone that was in telehealth, and I won't name his name, but I really wanted to do this, and he told me not to. He said it takes too much time. There's too much red tape, heavily regulated. I said, well, that's what I need. I want heavily regulated. I was in the online gambling space or the real money gaming space for years, because I also, one of my startups I got my start with was a daily fantasy sports site, the first in the US actually after online gambling was banned, and had a lot of success. So I was hired as a consultant for several companies after that, and that's how I made my way to the Bay Area. But I actually, that kind of perfected my marketing because it's heavily regulated, and so it taught me to basically, figure out ways to do things, to operate in that space without doing things like deceptively, or it's not like the typical product that you can just go out there and market on, Google and or social media and stuff. That they regulate it just like what these treatments. Same thing with pharmaceuticals, but the average wait time is ridiculous, and like I can personally relate to that because in 2020 I actually woke up one day and had this, like, I was brushing my teeth and I like had this excruciating pain that came from like where your sinuses would be. Like it felt like someone had jammed a hot poker in my face. That's the only way I can explain it. And it was so bad that I couldn't even focus. My wife is a pediatric oncologist at Stanford, Lucille Packard, Stanford. So I went to her and, ooh, I'm hurting and I need your help. And she said, so she referred me to the Stanford Headache Clinic, which is, a team of the top neurologists in the world. And, they study headaches and try to treat them. And so even with her referral, when I called, the first appointment I could get was in 8 months.
What? 8 months?
Yeah, 8 months, 8. And I was like, if a doctor, they ask you what's your pain level, like I was at like a 15. Like it was,
Wow.
yeah, like it was and I was in the middle of, my business like I said, it was going crazy. We were on track to 30 million and I'm have this pain and what am I, this is crazy. And so they said, well, you can get in if there's a cancellation. So I go, are you going to call me? No, you should probably just call us every day. So I
Hmm.
called them every day, or my wife, and finally, after about a month and a half, I got in, and I went in and I sat down in front of two doctors that were sitting there, and then and one of their internists or whatever, and they basically asked me a bunch of questions, and I had self-diagnosed myself already, of course, by looking on Google, but and I said, I think I have cluster headaches, which is a form of migraine that comes on. It's just they don't know, but they don't know why it comes on. They don't know how to get rid of it. They don't know what causes it. They just know how to like cope with it. And it's actually not medication usually. It's like ice. It's like a migraine that you would, when a migraine comes on, you're supposed to like get rid of it before it sets in. Otherwise, you have it for a long period of time. And my mom suffers from chronic migraines and that have been really debilitating for her. And so I was freaking out because I'm going, oh no, I have the bad gene. And so they prescribed oxygen for me and like all these crazy stuff that was super expensive, like a shot that I could give myself that was like $1,800 with insurance and like, and I'm going, I can't believe that like I just waited like I could have waited 8 months and then you guys gave me nothing really. They said, well, we don't know what you probably have cluster headaches, but we don't know how to get rid of them. And they said usually they can stay up to like 6 weeks and they can disappear and never come back. Sometimes they stay forever. And so then they told me it's called the suicide disease. That's the nickname for it. Yeah, because it's so painful. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I didn't even I was lucky. So I went home and it went away a couple days later on its own, just disappeared. I haven't even had a headache since then. Maybe a little bit if I had too many glasses of wine, but like I haven't had a migraine. I haven't had anything. It's crazy. It's just like, and it wasn't because of what they did. It just went away. But that kind of just like really made me, that was the pushing point when the tipping point when I was like, all right, 8 months, there's no like, what is wrong with this? I've got a connection to the one of the best healthcare systems. Stanford Health is unbelievable and great insurance and everything else, and I can't even get access to the care that I need. So I recently lost my younger brother to a brain tumor, and when he was first diagnosed with that was like 2014, I think. Obviously, like was conscious about all these things, thinking, "Oh my God, well, what happens if I actually had a brain tumor too, and I had to wait 8 months? I could have been dead." It infuriates me, and like my brother didn't even know that anything was wrong until he was a pilot and he was flying the airplane, landing at LAX, and he felt a sharp pain in his head, and then he had he went in and they found a mass, and then they operated, and he was okay for 6 7 years. But anyways, yeah, so that's my journey leading up to here at this point. So
Sorry about your brother.
yeah, thanks, thank you. It's all these things, like I said, failures and trials and tribulations, and these are all like fuel. That's why I always say like failure is not an option with me. Like startup, that hear all these statistics and stuff, and lots of motivation to see this, turn Dapper Care into something that's like makes a impact on the not just a few people, but the whole world at some point. So I'm pretty excited about it. We've been able to using technology improve quality of care for patients, but also expediting what takes up to 27 days now takes 5 minutes. It's all on demand. You can come to our website, you consultation, diagnosis, the prescription, all free of charge. And soon we actually will be offering your children will be free as well. So you just pay for the medication. The medications are up to 95% off. So like I said, Viagra, $70 to $90 a pill. You can get it from us the same. It's just a generic form of active ingredients for $7 to $12 a pill. And we're hoping actually to lower that price down quite a bit too. My goal is to, at some point, be able to offer everybody healthcare, no matter who they are, or where they're located, or what they're, the size of it. We don't want the quality of their care to be based off of the size of their wallet. It should be universally available, and everybody should have equal, opportunity with it. So that's my vision, at least.
David, you mentioned earlier in the beginning about AI and machine learning. What technology does Dapper Care use to create an accurate diagnosis of patients?
We're pretty excited about this. Like AI and machine learning are integrated into a lot of the platforms out there right now. And that was the biggest issue when we were going to launch Dapper and trying to figure out, we were going to raise, $3.5 million from accredited investors. But my advisors were telling me, well, what's your differentiator? Like that's, because I don't recreate the wheel. When I build a business, I build it something that I see in a market where it's a big market. It's in a hyper growth industry. I model it after whoever's the big player in that business in the industry, and then I work on differentiating and create, customizing and making it better. From a consumer standpoint, we look just like Hims or Roman. The difference is started looking at it and going from a marketing standpoint. There's always look at where's the bottlenecks or where's the drop off, where are the pain points for the consumer, and that's with the consultation piece. Because people don't want to go see the doctor because it's time consuming, and and then when you go to the doctor, you have to sit in the waiting room for, they're usually running behind, so you sit there for an hour, and it's like with a bunch of sick people, contaminating each other, and it's and that's why they don't want to go in. And then if you're going in for sexual health, like erectile dysfunction, like my old doctor, he was like too old, and he would make you do uncomfortable things like drop your pants and cough and stuff, and you don't need to do these things. And these are personal experiences that made me go, oh, why do you need this? So you don't need to do any of that with us. So it's eliminating the in-office visit, but it's not personable. You have to go through this online consultation. It's just a questionnaire asking a bunch of uncomfortable questions that are awkward, about your erections and, depending on whatever your issue is. And it can, based off of, if you have this information readily available or who you are, if you're savvy with this kind of stuff, it can take between 5 and 20 minutes, let's say. So I wanted to improve that with ChatGPT emerging and this generative AI becoming such a big thing out, in the last year. And I've been I'm big in technology and I use it every day, and I'm just amazed by what it can do and what I believe that it can do with integrated into healthcare. And the crazy thing is that right now it's amazing, and it's the worst it's ever going to be. So it's only going to get better. What we've done is we've taken ChatGPT and we integrated into our platform to replace the online consultation, which is, so instead of having a boring questionnaire that you're just going through answering multiple choice questions, we are creating an experience that would be similar to doing a Zoom meeting with your physician. So basically it will look just like you and I talking right now. The only difference is that the physician or whoever it is not going to be a real person. It's going to be completely AI generated. We're teamed up. I can't say partnered, but we are teamed up with Amazon and AWS and Mission Cloud, and they are actually helping us with the development of this project. And right now they actually funded the initial proof of concept and the scope of work for this, to get this so that we can see a functioning product that I can show people, and we can raise some capital for it, to build this thing out. But and it should be done in about 3 weeks or so. So I'm pretty excited. But and the team is unbelievable. Amazon brought in the leading experts in artificial intelligence, and really put a team together of data scientists and stuff that are unbelievable at Mission. And we've basically created something that I think is going to change everything. I mean, no one's doing this yet. And that's a really something I don't like to say, because there's always someone out there that's doing the same thing as you. But in this application, I had one of the brightest, guys I've ever met, that told me, he's like, I don't know why it's not being used this way, but I think we're onto something pretty special. And so the plan will be is that you'll be able to customize this avatar. I call it an avatar. We're calling it a health navigator, but it's this person so if you're a man and you want to have a male physician or a female provider or whatever, you can do so. And it's because it's generative AI, and it learns from you. We'll be able to, initially it'll just be trained to basically, it'll be on guardrails. So it'll ask you these questions, and it'll be very similar to an interaction with a physician if you were to do a Zoom call with them to get diagnosed and prescribed for treatment, which I know most people have probably done at this point because of the pandemic and everything. You couldn't go in to see the doctor, but the difference is that it's adding that personal touch, but it's not, because it's not a real person. It shouldn't make you uncomfortable. But it's also not going to be like if you're talking to, like some of these customer support chat, things on websites and stuff where they're very limited. And, even like Siri or, Alexa or these things, you have to say things a certain way. And if it's outside of their scope of their knowledge base, they just kind of, blank out and go flat. You can completely have a regular conversation with it. And it learns what your personality is, and it actually changes over time. So it's unbelievable. I mean, you will be able to, the initial consultation, it'll handle, but after that, our platform will send you a notification, let's say once a month or every other month, to check in, just to make sure everything's going well. And when you do, it's going to be just like you're doing a quick Zoom call with your provider. And it's going to say, hey, David, how are you? It's good seeing you. Like, how's the your sildenafil or tadalafil for your erectile dysfunction, how is it working out? Is the 100 milligram giving you headaches or any side effects that we need to know about? Can I make some changes to the medication that you're getting? Do you want to talk to, the prescribing doctor? I can schedule an appointment for you. Or do you have any other questions for me, that I can answer for you as far as like treatment options or, issues or, any information related to any other problems that you may have? Is there, maybe you have a skincare issue or a hair loss issue, or you just have a bad sinus infection and you need to get, something for that. Like, all of these things can be addressed now by just talking to this thing. And yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. So, and it's not only going to be a big game changer for improving the care for patients, but it's also going to be great for the physicians, because it's so it uses voice recognition and text to speech technology, but we have our own, custom built EHR, electronic health records, that it will actually take the information that is gathered through, this conversation, and it's dictated into notes and saved for the physician. And then our system will flag it'll summarize, just like these, these AI assistants that you see for like Zoom calls and stuff. So it'll bullet points for the physician when the provider actually logs on to look at where they're at, it'll actually say, like, it'll have anything that needs to be followed up with, will be indicated there. And eventually, because of all of these interactions with different patients, which will eventually be, in the millions, it'll start to see trends, and it'll be able to compare, so it'll be able to hopefully pre-diagnose, or like identify early indications of possible problems that are going to arise in the future, so that we can address them beforehand.
Sounds like a Dapper Care is affordable for a lot of patients, and also your subscribers, and the medication are free to them, correct?
Yes, we want to make it affordable for everybody. That's, and that, like I said, eventually I'm hoping to be able to offer this to everybody, even free of charge if they need it. Because there's plenty of profit in this business. I mean, where our profit margins are, I'm used to operating a very low profit margin in my businesses in the past. Maybe sometimes less than 10%. And this, I will be up, up to close to, let's say, 90% profit margin, even with our prices being as low as they are. I always have said in the past, with my businesses, like, if you're making too much money, like, meaning like profitability is like way too high, like, it's not going to last. It's too good to be true, kind of thing. I see how everybody else in the space is operating, and yes, the prices are still significantly lower to consumers, but it can be a lot lower. It's just like the pharmaceutical industry selling $70 or $90 pills for erectile dysfunction, and the cost on that pill is 3 cents. Well, to us, 3 cents. So think about how much it costs Pfizer to make it. Probably costs 3 cents to make 100 of them. R&D costs and and everything else, but it's crazy. We can get it down a lot less, and that's my goal, is to be able to do that. But right now it's still extremely affordable option, and even without health insurance, like I said, you can get your treatments free of charge, pay for the medication, it's shipped to you for free. Roughly, it's shipped out within 48 hours of your consultation. And then you're set up, basically it's a subscription, but there's no subscription cost to it. You're just paying for the price of the medication, and it's auto shipped to you every month. And you're notified basically like a week before it's going to ship. You need to make any changes to the medication, you log into the platform and make the changes. Otherwise, it's just fulfilled. It's your prescription's filled at our pharmacy and then it's shipped out. Right now, we have about 7 different major pharmacy or compounding pharmacies that are connected to our platform. So we have, probably close to 20 locations spread throughout the US. When it comes to supply chain issues that you've heard about and stuff, that's one of our biggest things that we have access to it. If it exists, we can get it. So, and it's, it'll ship from the pharmacy that's closest to you.
Maybe you mentioned earlier about you have a doctor's work at your site. Would you tell us a little bit about referral program?
Sure. It's funny because this is something that was not ever really built into my roadmap or business plan, I guess, for Dapper originally. I've always operated in the direct to consumer space. That's what I'm good at. Back in like November, I believe I finally found a chief medical officer that I've been looking for, since for about 3 years for one. And I wanted one that was just, there's lots of brilliant urologists. There's doctors in general that are out there. They're all brilliant, but I wanted one with the right personality. And I wanted to make them a co-founder as well. I just think it limits the risk from investor standpoint, but also you've got someone else that's helping to steer the ship, take on things so I basically I hired or brought on Dr. Edward Cartman and as my chief medical officer. He's director of men's health at El Camino Hospital in Silicon Valley. Yeah. So he's actually at the Los Gatos location, but he's co-founder now and chief medical officer, and he's one of the leading specialists in the men's health space. He's got 3,000 patients that he treats. So he's one of the the bigger ones in California. And his specialty is in HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. And so he basically, and which this is another big piece of men's health. That this is where it's emerged in the last couple of years, but just doing testosterone replacement therapy, all these things that go along with erectile dysfunction, and men and women, your body starts to fall apart after the age of like 40. It's with the hormone, because your body's hormone production starts to decrease, and when it starts to decrease, for men it's testosterone, and you've got human growth hormone and HCG and all these other ones, but and that's why you start to age, and you start to get hair loss, and muscles atrophy, get weight gain, sleep issues, erectile dysfunction, all these terrible fun things that you get to experience as getting older, but they don't have to be like that. I mean, with hormone replacement therapy, you can be young again. You can actually reverse the aging process. It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, scientifically, it's been studied and proven that with hormone replacement therapy, let's say the average male, their hormone levels are normally, let's say they're around 800 or whatever. I've seen, a male looks like they're in good shape, that and everything, but their hormone levels could be below 400, so it's like at 40% of what they normally have or so sometimes. And that's why they have no energy. Their libido is gone. They just not motivated. They sleep like crap, and sleep is directly related to this all as well. So we get them on hormone replacement therapy, and all of these things reverse. I mean, so in women, it's estrogen, and premenopausal women, they with hormone replacement therapy, you know, all of the fun things that women get to experience in menopause can also be reversed. You know, your sex drive comes back. You know, your sleep is better. You don't get headaches. You're not cranky. You know, not saying every woman's like that, but I mean these all these symptoms and things that you have to deal with are can be reversed. So it's pretty unbelievable. And people just don't know about it because it's the pharmaceutical industry doesn't really make any money off of it because these are compounded medications, treatments. Um, and so big pharma, you know, make sure that no one knows about it. We basically, like in California, where it's a beautiful state and a great place to live, but it's also can be quite frustrating with the politics and our we have there's some regulations in California that compounding pharmacies that are outside of California are not allowed to ship any sterile, which are injectable, um, compounded medications to patients in California.
Hmm.
They, yeah, they also ban peptides. Peptides are literally like they're like magic. I mean, literally, they can be stacked, and there's lots of them, and they can actually address specific issues. So, like if you've got issues with pain in certain areas of your body or whatever it is, like it literally will fix these things. But like California banned 17 of them or something like that recently. So this is where this program emerged because Ed or Dr. Cartman, he kind of made me aware of all of this originally. We've got Dapper Pharmacy, and Dapper Pharmacies, it normally is for patients, anybody that has a prescription from a doctor can come and get their prescription filled for we have over 800 different medications that you can get it filled, and we can save you money because we don't accept insurance. We can ship you 6 months worth if you want, or a year's worth. So it saves you money in shipping and everything else. So we can save you up to like 40%. But um, we set up this doctor referral program because I was looking at it and I'm going, well, Dr. Carmen said, well, when we get this set up, I will refer my patients to have, if we can solve this issue with California, um, I will refer my patients to you. And then I know several other doctors, that are in his practice or part of these organization he's part of, where we can actually, I will refer these physicians to you as well, or to us. And I said, oh, great. Well, then I started thinking, well, there's 10,000 like urologists in the US. And I'm like, well, how can we actually make this so that it's a value add for the patients, but also for the physicians? Because physicians are so used to referring patients, um, and they don't get anything for it because it's considered a kickback, right? We put together this patient referral program. We're starting out. Our goal is this year is to have 100 doctors join our advisory board. And so you come and you join our advisory board, and some of the benefits of being an advisor is you get the opportunity to help in building these solutions for the patients that they're referring to us. We're offering treatments and solutions that are addressing their patients' needs. And so we're excited. I mean, if it's each physician that signs up and they start referring their patients to us, they get the opportunity. It's just like instead of going to Walgreens, for instance, to get your medications, but these are we're focusing on the HRT initially. So it's, hormone replacement, but also for weight loss. So we do like you've heard of like the GLP-1s, like Wegovy, Ozempic, all these things, that you've heard about. Everybody's losing all this weight from. Well, and it's expensive. These people are paying a couple $1,000s a month for these, for this stuff. I mean, but it really works, and it's safe. I mean, it's basically a hormone that your body produces, and you don't have the appetite that you normally would, where you have the cravings, and the overindulging. And so you just eat what you need, what your body needs, basically. And that's why people lose on average, I think it's like 12% of their body mass over the course of a year. And I've seen a lot more than that. So but we offer the compounded option of that, which is called semaglutide. And instead of paying a couple $1,000s, you can get it for between $250, $400. So it's significantly low, and it's the same thing. So yeah, so that's the plan, and I'm excited about it because this is a program that we were originally all direct to consumer, and now we're working with physicians, and we're building an amazing advisory board. Our goal is in our long-term run is to have 1,000 physicians over the next 5 years sign up on this. And I know it's possible because I kind of modeled it after another entrepreneur, Lawrence Gerard, that actually he set up a program similar, but it wasn't for referring patients. It was just to get advisors to invest and join his board. And he did 500 physicians have signed up over the course of a couple of years. So yeah, but so
How
yeah,
excited.
yeah, it's really, we were projecting to do $3 million this year originally, but with this new program, we're on track to do 75 million in our first year. So it's really taken it up to whole nother level. So I mean, we're just getting started, but yeah, I mean, our 5-year run will be at 3 billion ARR. So it's and these are pretty good numbers. I mean, they're backed up by the numbers speak for themselves. So yeah, I mean, really excited. It's all happening really fast, but I like fast. So
Sure. Where can people find your website, and how do people contact Dapper Care?
yeah, so you can, our main website is it's dapper.care, www.dapper.care. And if you want to, yeah, I mean, that's the best option to go. We'll have an app that's coming out soon as well, but and then you'll navigate through that to the men's or the women's site, but otherwise it's Get Dapper or Get Chloe, either one. And then the patient, if you're a physician, especially a urologist, men's health physician anywhere in the country, yeah, you can contact me directly. It's just my email address is david@dapper.care. But and then Dapper Pharmacy, you can also go to get more information. So dapperpharmacy.com.
Great. Thank you so much, David, for all
Yeah.
the informative information.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.